Night Quartz, Part 2. Fiona was busy playing a game on her phone, so I didn't hesitate. I just yanked on the poorly tied knot, unraveling it from her list, and then I slung it into the fire. She immediately broke into yelling and then into crying. She was so upset she threw her phone at my face. Mom and Dad appeared from the kitchen almost immediately and stopped us both before it escalated any further. Mom and Dad pressed me on why I did it, and I stayed quiet. So I was forced to have dinner alone in my room. The punishment was minimal as they made ribs and mashed potatoes for dinner. I drowned out the rest of the night. I was only focused on removing and destroying the rest of the night quartz, and I was out of time. Tonight was the solstice, the longest night of the year. If they almost got in this morning, they would definitely get inside tomorrow morning. If they were after the crystals, I planned on making them disappointed. But Mom still had her necklace, and Dad was still wearing his ankle bracelet. So I stayed up. I stayed up as long as I could. But, yeah, I fell asleep waiting for them to fall asleep. I woke up with the crunching in my ears and my head. It was faster than ever, and it was right at the door. I ran downstairs, super groggy, and I grabbed a knife out of the kitchen, and I ran into my parents' room. The crunching was deafening. I didn't understand how they couldn't hear it. Maybe they did. But it was too late. And now, I know you've seen the rest of it. From the cabin exterior video camera. The back door broke up into splinters. Mom and Dad were barely aware, and I suppose they were mortified to see their son standing in their room with a manic expression holding a knife. A tornadic burst of wind blew through their door and swept me to the floor. As you saw in the viral video now, the wind swept them out of their bed, still in their pajamas, through the house, hoisting them up midair, out of the cabin, and into the woods. All I could do was chase after them, lurching as best I could through the ghostly footprints left in the snow. I ran and ran, chasing their screams and the impossible swirl of snow through the woods. I finally caught up with them. Out of breath, I saw their manhandled, partially frostbitten bodies suspended in midair, near to a mound near the valley's edge. The mound was black and silver. It was made of night quartz. A booming, echoing groan emanated from the invisible force suspending them in midair. As I caught up and caught my breath, I watched as one by one the night quartz crystals started to glow. It seemed to vibrate loose from the glue, as if attracted to the rest of the night quartz by some magical force. The crystals were pulled free and darted through the air at brilliant speed before impacting one by one on the mound of night quartz. The small pile seemed to glow and then ignite into a ball of brilliant, bright light. After the ignition, the pieces of new night quartz from the jewelry disappeared, and so did the groaning. It was like an implosion. Wind swept into the mound area from all around, but quickly dissipated. Mom was silent, while Dad was upright, screaming and clutching his ankle. Whatever force pulled the crystals from the glue seemed to propel the crystals straight through their bodies like phantom shotgun pellets. Dad's ankle was perforated by no fewer than 4 holes, and it left him barely conscious. Mom was dead. The night quartz went straight through her neck, throat, chest. She came to rest in a pile of bloody snow while Dad screamed next to her. He screamed and crawled over to Mom. Maybe it was the sight of her lifeless body. Maybe it was just the fatal cold, but he didn't crawl any further. He just let out a few more yelps before he too quieted. I rushed up to them. I felt ghostly myself. I wasn't all there. I just stood over Dad as he froze into unconsciousness, and I apparently just blacked out amongst them. I was found near Mom and Dad's bodies. The officers responding told me that I was seen with the groundskeeper, who had apparently escaped custody and found himself into the cold woods. I was taken to the local hospital for observation, and I didn't know what happened to you. I remember when I was being poked and prodded and interrogated at the hospital. I remembered talking to the groundskeeper while I was fading in the snow next to Mom and Dad. He told me he had been alive for 2 centuries, that he wandered into town half dead, almost 150 years ago. For whatever reason, he had not been allowed to stay dead, despite dying frequently. He said that the town, the resort, was a spiritual sink, a ghost roach motel, a place for ghosts, spirits, demons, and other things like himself found themselves drawn towards, but afforded them no exit. There was no way to pass on from the Spirit Valley. There was no way for spiritual or physical entities such as himself to leave either. Leaving the perimeter in any one direction, he said, just meant stepping back into it, miles away on the opposite side of it. Unless, he said, they had night quartz. But there had to be enough night quartz to trigger a reaction, and the excess was always used up in the reaction, so there had to be a steady supply. Apparently, my night quartz was the first that they had seen in over a decade. The more I remember, the more I think of night quartz as acting like a criticality reaction. In a nuclear reaction, there has to be enough nuclear material to go critical and start a chain reaction. Same thing apparently for night quartz, to cleanse trapped spirits. I remember him being distraught. I remember him saying he was out of range of the criticality to be purged, to be freed. He said in so many ways that he missed out on a nuclear Jonestown for ghosts. But in time, others would be sucked here and get stuck, just like him. He disappeared. He's probably out in the woods, constantly freezing to death over and over again, but never dying, really. Such was the curse of immortality. I haven't talked about this in almost a decade. I know you were preoccupied. I know we haven't talked in 6 years, sis. I just need to know if you're out there. I need you to know what I know, since we ended up in different homes. I miss them. I miss them like you did. And we need to do this. We need to do this together. So, Fiona, it's out. The video of Mom and Dad getting yanked out of the cabin. I need you to help me say goodbye to them once and for all. Because they're still there, Fiona. They're trapped. Mom and Dad weren't purged. So I hope, somehow maybe, you'll read this in the comments section of this video. Find me. You know my name. It took about 4 weeks to sift through all the replies. I got hundreds of emails and Facebook messages and replies to this thread, and every social media thread I could find where that video took off from. I wanted to type this out and copy it to wherever I posted the original story so you all know what happened next. Eventually I did find Fiona, and I met her at a sleepy coffee shop in Iowa, near a university where she was working and residing at a woman's commune. You're the only one to reply properly. I was the one who wanted to stop for bathroom breaks all the time, and I did it because I wanted to play the claw machines. I know, Fiona said, gulping coffee down. I was wide-eyed, seeing my sister for the first time in 6 years. She looked particularly worn for her age. Her hair was of a strained color, deep bags dropped under both her eyes, her skin waxy and wasting. The black and red makeup did her no favors, nor did the 1980s punk hand-me-down jacket, which was several sizes too big. She wore it like a leather burrito wrap. Trust me, it'd be funny if it wasn't so unfunny. I felt like we had a million things to say, a million little things to say, but I think Fiona, like myself, felt the avalanche of the conversation slide away and back to old family arguments about who killed who that day and who abandoned who, to what new horrors the day after. Fiona got right down to business. So we're going to kill the groundskeeper, she asked. Right? That's what all this is about. The whole cyber sleuth thing and the video release, right? I was confused and concerned. Did you not read I skimmed it. It was lacking. It left out the part where Mom and Dad would constantly make that predictable pun about being a nuclear family. She dipped her head, sniffling back tears and rage. It left out the part where either you killed Mom and Dad or the groundskeeper did. I didn't kill them! I said it to her for the 100th time. I didn't kill anyone. You don't understand, she said. You never did. How do you explain to a 9-year-old who saw their brother enter their parents' room with a knife, get knocked out by some sort of indoor tornado, then, big surprise, a few hours later, Mom and Dad are dead and you're in the hospital under arrest? I was never under arrest. I lied. In fact, I was a suspect, number one suspect for months. I couldn't even attend the funeral. Look, you don't know what I've been through, she started. The foster homes, okay, the abuse, the things. She started crying in the coffee shop. Everyone was looking at us. I heard about one of the foster homes she was in was broken up and the foster parents were arrested for child abuse. I tried to reach out to her afterwards, but she ignored me. The things they did, she sobbed. I have to turn it all on. I mean, look at you. Look at how great things are for you. Look at your clothes and your face. And you didn't care. Fiona dug her fingers into her hair and pulled it tight before she wiped away her tears. I don't care, she muttered. Then she started screaming. Again and again. She was wearing a hoodie under her leather jacket wrap. Also many times too large for her. And she could easily hide her arms in the sleeves. She dug into the front pocket, slammed her elbow down on the table, leveling her sleeve, concealing a small handgun at me. I don't care, Jason, she muttered. Okay, I said, staring down the barrel of her gun. I was arrested. I was a suspect in their deaths. I, like you, was turned away from Aunt Frances and Uncle Drake. No one believed the official explanation. The unofficial explanation, I was always the murderer in their eyes. No one. It's like I turned out any better than you. Hell, at least you have a family. Sure, it's basically a coven or it's something. I am entirely and utterly alone. And for years, all I could see and hear every night as I tried to drift off to sleep were those footsteps in the snow, and the last look of Dad crying over Mom in the snow. It took me forever to get that out of my head, so I could sleep and function. Okay, sure, I have some okay-looking clothes, but they're a quarter of the clothes I have to my name. No one makes you dress up like a reject from an 80s movie extra pool anyway. And if you want to take a crap on me one more time, Fiona, on top of all of it, the first time I see you in years, it's on the internet with a ghost tape I didn't know existed, and all of it comes back in a snap. Then I realized I can't stop running from this. And worked for weeks to see you. Also, by the way, airing out everything, reliving everything, writing that post, trying to draw you out from whatever rock you crawled under. And then finally, after years of not seeing my sister, not seeing you, I have my own sister put a gun in my face. She held the gun level, and with her other hand she pulled out a cigarette from between her ear and head and lit it. She took one long drag. Sounds like I'd be putting you out of your misery. She put the gun away and went back to tapping her red fingernails on the black coffee mug between drags. I was understandably unsettled, but it was a feeling I was accustomed to at this point in my life. My mind flashed on something she had said earlier. So, wait. It wasn't you. Wasn't me what? She became even more irate. You didn't put the video out there. Hell no. I still don't buy into all this crap about ghosts. If it wasn't you, it was that creepy-ass groundskeeper. At some point, everything didn't make sense. Suddenly, all of it just made sense. There was a clear and easy out of the situation. And I told her, okay, then let's go kill him. Her face was frozen in disbelief. Then she seemed to shake out of it. Okay, when? Now. Tonight. She dug something out of her pocket. Do you want some chocolate-covered espresso beans? It wasn't a coincidence that tonight was the solstice. While we stopped for gas, I had no difficulty finding a souvenir from the gift shop connected to the truck stop. When the young man at the register gave me a funny look about it, I gave him my eat crap look and purposely paid for the item in change. It was just about time, in the morning, when we pulled up to the cabin, now abandoned by the rest of the resort. My stomach was weighed down from the ordeal, and the chocolate-covered espresso beans. To my surprise, the groundskeeper was waiting on the porch in front of the cabin. Fiona wasn't bluffing about the handgun, or her willingness to use it, as she exited the vehicle in a rush and unloaded a furious fusillade at the groundskeeper, who didn't so much as flinch as the rounds burrowed through the brown duster he wore. Fiona started to scream at him, and went so far as even just to throw the handgun at his face. I was wondering if either you would show, he said. Took me forever to get that video, and another forever for me to put it online. You don't learn things so well when you're old, and I've been person non grata here for some time. But I've waited 2 eternities, so what's a little longer? The 3 of us stood by the woods. The wind and the crunching snow stormed to the tree line towards us. Fiona started yelling obscenities into the woods. In the dim light, we saw the footprints stop at fresher, deeper snow just outside the thicket. Then I saw 2 pairs of footprints slowly approach us and stop before us. Something welled up inside me, and I just knew it was Mom and Dad. Something about the warmth and gentleness of it, yet also coarse and bittersweet. Fiona started to cry. I started to cry. the groundskeeper asked for the bag of night quartz, and I gave it to him. Fiona and I felt the wind embrace us with a familiar hug, and then, like when we were kids, it gripped our hands and pulled us gently but firmly into the woods. I wasn't able to go to the funeral either. Fiona sniffled a bit as she stopped with me, Mom, and Dad into the woods. I don't think they were there. You know, you two are doing the Lord's work, getting us unstuck, the groundskeeper muttered. I'm doing some kind of work, Fiona said in a vacant whisper. I just want to be a family again. Then the groundskeeper grabbed Fiona's hand. The wind swirled around us as if we were caught in a small tornado. You are! He barked as he yanked another handgun out of Fiona's hand and tossed it into the snow, which carried it off deep into the woods, onto the valley outcroppings, distant and out of sight. If there is, or whatever is after this, it isn't a place you want to go without the knowledge and experience of your full life. You two know these places now. I don't know how many of them there are, but you know how to clear them. Like you said, it's some kind of work. Maybe consider giving it a try. It's better than shooting yourself. The winds died down as we approached the column of the night quartz. I felt my hands squeezed twice as tight as ever, and Fiona and I embraced side by side as the phantom embrace left us. Then there was a brilliant flash, an exhale of wind, and then nothing. The groundskeeper seemed to wash away into ash, which fell into the snow and became indistinguishable with it. I really wanted to cry. I really just wanted to collapse into the snow and let out an agonized howl of grief and yet a sense of relief. But I couldn't, because I just had to know, overriding everything else with Fiona's hand in mine. Were you just gonna go shoot yourself and go with them? Or were you gonna shoot me first? Fiona shrugged. In between sniffles, she sobbed out, "What are little sisters good for, anyway?" It was weird, but we laughed. We laughed for the first time together since that vacation.